Hey, it's Emily from She's Got the Book. We're back outside today, and you're so lucky because we're going to be talking about the best novel of all time, Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Yay! I do have multiple editions. I think I have even more editions than these. Eyre is my favorite female character in literature ever. Edward Rochester is my favorite male character in literature ever. I named my cat Janie after Jane. It's just, I think it's the greatest book of all time. And yes, it was written in 1847. If you're more into like chick lit or young adult, you don't have to watch this video, but that's your loss. And if you haven't read this book, then that's really your loss because it's awesome. Okay, a little backstory about it. You may know some about it because it really is a popular book and there have been movies and everything made of it. There's an orphan. She's sent to live with an aunt and family members that are cruel. When she grows up, she becomes a governess and accepts a position with Edward Rochester off on his estate. And when the book starts, and in the first part of the book, you know, she feels plain and she feels unattractive, and she's not as spirited as at the end. I mean, she has her own personality, and she's very smart, but she just kind of, you know, she plays it cool, keeps it on the DL. After time with Edward, though, she sort of blossoms, and by the end of the book, she's standing up for herself. Some of the topics are actually controversial for the time because at one point, and if you don't want spoilers, you can stop the video now, but I don't think most people care. Edward does try to get her to marry him, but spoiler alert right here. Pause. Okay, spoiler alert. He has another wife, and she's bonkers, and she's hidden away in his mansion, and he was going to try to get Jane to marry him, and he was pretending that he was single. So Jane technically would have been living as his mistress, but she found out like right before putting a ring on it. It was heartbreaking. The writing is beautiful. Honestly, like the romantic scenes between Jane and Edward, I personally find a lot more titillating or like, oh, you know, beautiful than anything in today's books. Anything like 50 Shades of Grey or Bare Dew. As much as I enjoy those books for what they are, I still prefer good old-fashioned, let's sit on a rock and talk beautiful to each other. And that's what this book's about. The end, I mean, it ends well. The ending's beautiful. There's a couple parts I'm like, oh, it's sad, but it's beautiful. Today's readers, I don't think, really read this as much. I don't think most people would even really know how to pronounce Eyre, Jane Eyre. And I very rarely, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I very rarely run into people that have read this book. And maybe I'm just not hanging out with the right people. I'm not hanging out with cool enough people. But I mean, give it a chance. You really should give it a chance because it's beautiful and it makes you think, and you just don't read books written like this anymore. And Charlotte Bronte was kind of a BA, you know. She was pretty awesome for her time because women weren't supposed to be writing stuff like this, and technically she and her sisters had to write under pseudonyms. Like her pseudonym was, I think it was Currer Bell, because women weren't supposed to be publishing things at that time. So I love all the Bronte books, and I'm sure I'll do an Emily Bronte Wuthering Heights review at some point, and maybe some other Charlotte Bronte book, and I think Anne Bronte's written one book that I read. Anyway, favorite book of all time. I really think it's the best, and just get yourself out there and read it, even if it's something that you normally wouldn't read. You can't die not having read this book. What's wrong with you? We can't be friends if you haven't read this book. Okay, check back soon. I'll try to review a more modern book for you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely day.